Welcome, brothers and sisters. How's it going? Thanks for joining me. My name is Will Keller. My website is naturalfreedomleague.com. I want to get a shout out to Brandon Martin and Nate Cap, the Cubbywhole Network, doing a phenomenal job just creating action. I'm very honored to be a part of this conglomerate of great minds spreading awareness on a variety of topics. So today I have an important topic. The title of my presentation is called Conscious Parenting for Conscious Beings. And this is a vast topic. So this is going to be, I'm coming at it from a different angle, and it's going to be fun. So before we begin, the topic is sensitive for most people due to the parental aspects we will be discussing here today. Please acknowledge your emotions, but do not let them control and cloud your ability to hear this message. I will be speaking the truth. I will not be using euphemisms. Outside the comfort zone is where the lessons await. And that's a true story. This is the parental topic, and nobody wants to hear anything about, this is how you should raise your kids, or any kind of self-reflection when it comes to parenting. People get defensive, but regardless, there are some things that need to be said. And if you put yourself in a state of receptiveness, ready to learn something, and just take it with you and digest it later, and just listen to the message. And there's going to be some brutal topics that have to be said, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, right? So here we go. We got the comfort zone, and you have the comfort zone where a lot of people nowadays are in, right? Because it's safe and it's secure. And outside of that, you have the fear zone, right? Because now you're pulling from your comfort zone, and you have lack of self-confidence, and this is scary for a lot of people. But then right outside the fear zone, you get into a learning area where you are open to new ideas. And outside the learning zone is the growth zone, because to truly be open-minded, there has to be a willingness to change. So we're going to aim for right in that learning zone, and this is gonna be intense, but we're not camping today. Seed for growth. This is an important topic, and there are many guests, great educators that speak of alternative techniques, curriculums, and strategies for all ages. But ultimately, there's one core message that must be conveyed with courage, care, and fire. I'm here today as a seeker of truth, a propagator of nature, and a father, in hopes to plant the seed that will activate growth. And the graphic on here says, never be afraid of being that parent. You are your child's one and only advocate. If you don't rise up and fight for them, who else will? So I'm speaking truth today for a lot of parents and a lot of children. So, becoming a parent. Let's talk about the human experience. This is where it starts. The act of creating a child, meaning a man and a woman creating a vessel for the monad, the single unit of consciousness, to animate the body or vessel for consciousness to experience, learn, and evolve. This is a divine act within the higher creative intelligence of nature. The responsibility and obligation is of the greatest importance, for this process of raising a child will either evolve or devolve the individual, and then adding to the aggregate condition of the species. So, when you become a parent, I don't think this is stressed out. I don't think this is stressed enough. There's a huge moral obligation. You step into a whole new realm of karma, right? So we're going to get into that as well. So what is conscious parenting? conscious parenting, the ability to raise a child's level of consciousness to a higher state of awareness through education of the human psyche, the laws of nature that govern this reality. The awareness of the parent directly affects the child's awareness. Conscious parenting is about wisdom. Wisdom is knowledge applied. All the information that we gather, we can output that in our behavior and our actions, and that is wisdom, can be wisdom. So, if we're going to talk about conscious parenting, we got to find out what is conscious, and it derives from consciousness. So consciousness is the ability of a being to recognize patterns and meaning with respect to events taking place, both within oneself and in the environment. To be conscious means having awareness by way of pattern recognition. So we have our reality and then we have our self, right? On the deep level, it's one and the same. So having pattern recognition on our thoughts, emotions, and actions, but also in our environment, locally, what's going on right around us, regional, in the surrounding areas, and then the big picture, global, or just the totality of what's going on during that time and in that moment. And this is what makes us different from animals. We are not animals. We are separate. We have animalistic characteristics and physical features, but we are in a completely different category. We have this higher, thought function that allows us to use logic and reason, and we're at a higher level of pattern recognition. Parenting. This is like a typical, just textbook definition. The responsibility of raising and educating a child from birth to adulthood. So we got two aspects, responsibility and education. And we're going to dive into these deeper, but these are main categories where there's tons of subcategories underneath them. Responsibility and education. And I got the finger because you're a parent. It's your responsibility. What are you going to do? And choice is yours. Here's another term that I personally like, and that is stewardship. It means entrusted to one's care. A parent is similar to stewardship, the careful and responsible management of something entrusted to one's care. So the new being coming in, the single unit of consciousness, right? Ultimately, we're all part of the one mind, the source, but it's fractalized, and it's in individual units experiencing itself and having this experience to learn about itself. So also, a facilitator is someone who makes progress easier, guiding the human being until it is fully equipped to be self-sufficient. The knowledge and wisdom gained throughout the parent's life can be transferred to the child to make for a more impactful experience. So I like these two terms. This is great. Stewardship, because yes, you have to be careful and responsible for something of great care, and that is, a child, a small child, until they're able to take care of themselves. And I think ultimately parenting is for life. You're always going to be a parent. And actually the tables, I think, reverse towards the later years when you're older, right? It's like the child, the grown child or the grown up takes care of his parents because the parents are elderly and start to resemble childlike characteristics. But facilitation can make this process easier, almost to your advantage. But that all depends on the parents' knowledge and understanding. So here are some of the general responsibilities. We have mental, psychological, emotional, physical, also protection, right? Keeping your kids safe. Love, of course. Also care and nurturing the child. And to educate. And all those last topics, you could do hours and hours on those and get into the nitty gritty. I'm getting to a message that I want to focus on that I feel is extremely important. So let's talk about the family dynamic. The family is the basic unit of human society and the formative center of the individual's life. The family and the home become the first structural model of the world that the child knows, and his or her psychological, moral, and spiritual development emanates from this formative environment. The formative years of a child's life will lay the foundation, or programming, for operating in the world and the ability to understand oneself correctly. And I know it, in this given time, that co-parenting is the norm, is the majority, like myself. That's a whole other topic that we can get into. But the principles and the message that I'm going to explain today can directly relate to that for sure. So let's talk about the formative years. I'm focusing on the formative years. This is the most important part of a being's life. 0 to 8. 0 to 7, 0 to 8, right? This is the child's cognitive ability is taking in everything. It's just soaking it up just like a sponge. So the formative years, or the early stages of childhood, are between 0 and 8 years of a child's life, where they learn more quickly than any other time in life. During this time, a child is completely programmable. This is the most important time to teach principles, critical thinking, and connecting with nature, with the natural world. Prime time. And, there's a lot of parents that came to a higher level of awareness about what's going on in themselves and how things, this reality and oneself operate later on in life. But you're always going to be a parent, and you're always going to be an educator. So we'll get into that as well. And here is the equation: garbage in, garbage out, quality in, quality out. Meaning, if you instill negative qualities, bad programming, it's going to output in that child's behavior. Feelings of worthlessness, it's going to output into low self-esteem, low confidence, right? Lack of self-love. And of course, quality in, nurturing, love, principles, a good, correct education, and you're going to output the good stuff. Good looks come genetically, so sorry. Okay, human nature. Human beings are programmable. Not good or evil, programmable. Much like computers. Like a computer, if a human being has a bad file system format, which are the conditions during a child's formative years, a bad operating system, the culture, and bad software programs, which are false dogmatic belief systems, their output, behavior, onto the screen of life will also be bad and incorrect, and will contribute to the deteriorating human condition in the aggregate. Remember, the individual adds to the aggregate of humanity, the collective conscious and the collective unconscious. It's all about the individual. So is the individual going to evolve and contribute, or devolve and degrade? So like a computer, the behavior of a human being will largely depend upon its programming, the quality of the information put into it, which enables it to process and create efficiently. We are lowercase c creators. We can influence through manifestation, through our will, and influence reality, not single-handedly create it. Okay, that's a false dogmatic belief that we're all individually creating our reality. No, that's not how it works. We can influence, but not the sole creators. Now, getting to the painful truth, okay? There's a problem. We have to recognize the problem, talk it out, and then talk about solutions. So here we go. And let's find out the human condition. What's going on right now in reality? It's extremely important for parenting. The human species is in a downward spiral towards bondage, suffering, and ultimately destruction because human beings in the aggregate, the collective, have an inaccurate, false worldview. We do not understand the causal factors or the root of the problem of why it's happening. We are in a self-induced hypnosis, an unconscious feedback loop of suffering and control because we do not understand ourselves, our psychology, and how the natural world, our reality, operates. Thus, we are manifesting what we do not want in the world because we, as a species, are unconscious on how the real laws of manifestation work. The laws of manifestation work based upon if we are truly moral beings or not. And as a species, we are certainly immoral beings because of what we choose to believe and what we continue to condone. The majority of human beings on this planet are not only ignorant to what morality truly is, the majority of human beings on this planet are completely immoral due to their incorrect thoughts and actions, thus condoning and contributing to the causal factors of suffering in the world. The suffering in the world will continue until we change our thoughts and actions. And we're failing as parents. Parents are failing. This is the causal factor. The majority of parents on this planet are failing their children because they have not educated their young on objective morality and natural law, the laws of nature that govern the consequences of human behavior, therefore continuing the cycle of enslavement. Parents, in the aggregate, the majority, do not understand what morality is. And if the parent doesn't understand what morality is, they can't teach it to their kids. Parents are programmed and conditioned to sacrifice their children to government institutions without question because parents believe these institutions are in their best interests. I used sacrifice on purpose because that's what sacrifice means. It means to give up to give to a deity. And this is a false god. That's what government is. All the government institutions. This is a religion. It's the ego it's the manifested ego. It's an artificial mental construct that the majority of human beings on this planet worship. And they sacrifice their kids to these institutions. Generational mind control. We are at war. And who's taken the brunt of the effects of parental ignorance and neglect are the children. Everything that goes on in reality that's influenced by the dark social engineers, it's all about the children. Why? Because that's laying the foundation for the next realm of their agenda, the future. That's what they're doing. The graphic says, in reality, they're not after you, they're after me. you need to be in the way. And pure truth. Parents need to step up and need to recognize that we are at war. This is a spiritual war. People were saying that 20 years ago. We're at physical war now. It's just not what you think war is. Okay? We're not in the trenches. The trenches are trying to go get food or watching people suffocate their kids. So it's everywhere. It's out in the streets, and it's in front of our house. It's not hot yet, but this is why we need to take in this information and understand what we can do. And it's all about parenting. Parents have an opportunity to pull back and give our children a great gift. The social engineers of our reality, social engineers, these are dark influencers. Ultimately, the humans, the individuals creating the action, the majority of people are taking the actions on them by themselves. Police and military, the social engineers are just influencers. They're in all major institutions, and they are just influencing your mind. You are responsible for yourself. You are creating the action. Here's their plan. This is what they do. Distract the older generations. Condition the younger generations. That's simple. Condition them to get them ready for what's coming, the new society. Children are under attack by their own parents. This is from parental ignorance and neglect, because they do not hold the knowledge of how this reality works, natural law, the laws of nature, and morality. They don't understand what morality truly is, which actions are good or bad. And because of this neglect and this willful ignorance, they're physically harming their children. Physically. This is a delusion. Even the CDC's own numbers for 19 years old and under, it's 0.00003. Okay? The real deal is all the government institutions use mind control. They use fear and control, and parents are masking their children, suffocating their children because the TV told them to. That's what's really going on. But if you go outside and you look around, it's just business as usual. People going to work. It's not, everything's operating as it should, except people are terrified, under mind control, masking their kids, and this is a violation of sovereignty and human rights. And parents need to wake up for sure. Look at that child screaming. You can't tell me when a year ago, when parents started putting masks on their children, their children weren't fighting it. It's a natural response. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. The only reason why they probably fought less is because the parent conditioned the kid. And what it really is, it's the abdication of responsibility. Parents are giving up their own personal responsibility to raise their children to someone else, someone they consider superior to them, who would make the decisions for them, allowing the government to shape and mold the young minds as they see fit. As they see fit to put their children into a condition of internal confusion, which then seeks for external control. Parental ignorance to objective morality and the lack of ability to respond consciously to the laws of nature. And this is what it's about. They're giving away their responsibility to government institutions. And here are some of the mainstream institutions: religion, government, media, education, banking, finance, healthcare, medicine, science or scientism, which is government-funded science. These are all false authorities, but people worship them. Parental abandonment issues are the causal factors of the misplaced trust in mainstream institutions. Unresolved trauma is buried in the subconscious, which creates internal confusion, thus seeking external control by a proxy parent to fill the void. The unresolved motherly abandonment issues will leave the child feeling a lack of care and nurturing, which leads to the societal institutions care for me, want to provide for me, and have my best interest syndrome. We see this with the liberals, right? The left. The institutions are gonna take care of everything, right? Just waving on socialism, bring it on in. Unresolved fatherly abandonment issues will leave the child feeling a lack of protection, direction, and discipline, which leads to the societal institutions protect me, keep me safe and secure and orderly syndrome. And this can represent the right, the Republicans, the Trumpers, the military and the police heads. And then you have the biggest, indoctrination, which is government-ran schools, which parents sacrifice their children without question. And they keep lowering the age throughout many, many years. Now you can go there when you're 3 or 4. You got pre-K. And there's probably pre-K. But what it really is, it's the oppression of consciousness. These social engineers know that to condition the future minds of society, they need to put a wedge between the parents and the children as soon as possible. And this is what public schooling's all about. Get your kids into public school. Government schooling produces unquestioning, uninformed, obedient workers, crushed of creativity and individuality, who are emotionally needy, respond to groupthink patterns, and find their only reprieve in materialism. Get your children out of government control schooling. And here's John D. Rockefeller and the Carnegie Corporation practically built the public school system that we have in America. I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. Right? Our whole education system comes from the Prussia era. We adopted it, and that's what it's for. It's made to have obedient workers. Get your children out of government-controlled schooling. I'm not going to dive deep into these topics of homeschooling, unschooling, and self-directed learning. There's tons of information. You can look up Dana Martin, David James Rodriguez, which is the homeschoolleader.com, and they dive into these topics in detail, and it's phenomenal. There's something for everyone. This is probably one of the most important things you can do for your child is to pull them out of school. And a lot of people are doing that right now because with the mask mandates and all that shit. But a lot of people are not. They're leaving their kids in there. Actually, schools are back in session, right? Just with masks, and you got to stay 6 feet apart and line up. Cut recess time down from 25 or 30 minutes to now it's 10. It's crazy. Pull them out. Authority is illusion. And this is the main thing right here. Authority is an illusion. This is a false mental construct. And this is what parents need to understand. No one has authority over you. You don't even have authority over your kids. You're a facilitator. You're a parent to nurture and guide them through this experience. You don't own them. It's a deep topic, something to think about. The religion of authority is based upon the illusion and falsehood that some humans have a moral right to command others, and other humans have a moral obligation to obey their commands. Children are conditioned with the diseased mind virus extremely young. Do what I say because I said so. And this is why we're in the situation we are now with this socially perceived crisis. It's because people think that an authority told them to do something, and they're just falling in line. Your sovereignty is from God, nature, the one mind, whatever you want to call it, not human beings. And this is what they want, the social engineers. They want obedience. Obedience is not a virtue. The tyrants don't create the tyranny. Your obedience does. Your choices create this situation. We are in this mess because of choices that people have made the free will choice to take. It's a meme that's going around, right, from the Nazi era, which we're in a very similar situation, right? There's a lot of psychological characteristics that match that era. And the look on that guy's face is priceless. It's like, nah, no obedience for me. Fuck off. Cowardice versus courage. And, this is a hard topic for people. People are going to get emotionally reactive, right? But this is what it comes down to. Cowardice or courage. The majority of parents are cowards. Saying that straight. We need courage. The meme says, I know, honey, I know, but mommy lacks the courage to stand up for your right to breathe. How many parents, have been telling their children, their small children, I know you have to wear it. You have to wear it. You have to wear the mask. Sorry. Mommy loves you. Mommy's sorry. Daddy's sorry. Cowardice. This picture from social media on the right is a family in a store, no masks on. We are from Oregon. We are the maskless family. We've been 86'd and kicked out of multiple stores. Registers turned off on us. Cops called. We will not be intimidated. We pulled our kids from school. Not going to play this game. Pure evil. That's courage. There's many levels of courage. That's courage right there. Pull your kids out of school, not wearing a mask, and smiling as they do it. Because they know their power. They know their sovereignty. That no one has authority over them. No one has authority over you. So the solution. Correct education. To truly educate someone is to lead them out, which is the definition of education. Lead them out of the darkness of ignorance and into the light of knowledge. As a parent, it is our duty to teach our children how to understand themselves, how to understand reality, and to know the difference between right behavior and wrong behavior, moral and immoral. And education is less about what you memorize and more about what type of person you become. That is the solution. Teaching our children objective morality and how reality works. This is the parent's duty. You can't put this off on anyone else. You put your kids in public school or stick them on TV where they're hooked onto popular culture, right? You're not doing your job. You're not doing your parental duty. And that's what culture is, to cultivate. To cultivate what? To cultivate a certain state of consciousness. Just like Terence McKenna said, culture is not your friend. Conscious parenting, wisdom. I categorized all the topic points about conscious parenting into 3 important ones that I wanted to talk about. And of course, there's mindfulness and responsiveness instead of reactiveness, and there's all this good stuff. But we're going to talk about nature, morality, and responsibility. So with nature, we have objective truth. Yes, I said objective truth. There isn't an objective reality. It exists. It's our job to align our perception to which that is. This is nature. The word nature means from God, of and from God, meaning human beings did not create it. Morality, right versus wrong behavior. And responsibility. Responsibility is the ability to respond to what? To thoughts, emotions, and actions, right? Parents need to understand what true responsibility is, because it's their ability to respond to themselves, to keep their thoughts in order, have have control over their emotions and their actions. And it's in that order. As I think, so I feel, so I act. And also, of course, the responsibility, the ability to respond to your children. It's very common to respond with emotion, right? And then you're coming from a place of ego, and you're not using logic and reason and communication with your child. Natural versus artificial. Probably the most important topic, because morality goes under this, is teaching your children the difference between natural versus artificial, real or fake. Natural meaning of or from God. Non-man-made. Artificial is man-made. We can use this in the natural world and within ourselves. Thoughts, we can look at society, right? The majority of people are in an artificial state of mind. The authority, the belief in authority, this is artificial. It's man-made. Man created it. It's a false axiom. It's considered self-evident, but it's incorrect. It's dogmatic belief, not based in logic or reason. And then, we have, diet, of course. I teach my daughter how to read ingredients on packages, which we 90% stick to the farm stands, and we eat, a lot of raw vegetables and fruits. She knows the difference when it comes to food. Red dye 40, high fructose corn syrup, all this shit, it's all artificial. We need a balanced diet, a great diet. You got to feed your kids. It's the foundation of the body for psychological, emotional, spiritual stability, is give your kids proper nutrition of the earth. Teaching children about the natural world should be seen as one of the most important events in their lives. And I agree with that 100%. This is your operating system. Teaching your kids the difference between natural and artificial is a lifelong study. But once you get to a certain level of understanding, which it's not hard, then you can use logic and reason and start to think about and see situations differently. This is your operating system, right? I put a book on there that I love, Give to Nature and Nature Will Give to You. And this is by Indica Martin. She's also a presenter here at S.E.E.D 4. It's a phenomenal book. One of the best books out there. It's got all the principles that we need to teach our kids. All the natural ingredients for a healthy mind and soul. And what's great about this book, I mean, obviously the visual aspect is phenomenal, but it allows for parents to to expand on each segment and dive deeper and use that to increase the understanding through communication with their children. My daughter loves it. Phenomenal book. And the kids on the right, happy in nature. So natural law. Natural law is also a huge category, because when you hear natural law, especially with my work and a lot of other people like Mark Passio and stuff, we're focused on a certain part of natural law, which is the laws of nature. Natural law is a set of universal, inherent, objective, non-man-made, eternal, and immutable conditions that govern the consequences of behaviors of beings with the capacity for understanding the difference between harmful and non-harmful behavior. Crucial information to study and to talk about. This is the causal factors. This is how you can use discernment. Once you have this information, you can use discernment on what morality is. But this is talking about the metaphysical laws. There's also the physical laws that most people know. Thermodynamics, magnetism, all that stuff. These are all the laws of nature, not created by man. The higher force put these here. And these are the boundary conditions of our reality. It's like knowing the rules. I don't like sports, but if you have a football game, if you don't know the rules, you're going to run the ball into the other team's end zone, right? So this is what natural law, the laws of nature, what they are for this reality. It's the boundary conditions. It's the parameters. You have to know this information. And this is the true authority. This is not non-man-made. This governs the consequences of our behavior. Here are some of the principles. And again, there's hours and hours on these principles. But I teach these principles to my daughter on a spiritual aspect, to know herself better. And also you can see these principles within nature themselves. Gardening, how the natural world operates with cycles, all this stuff. There's so much learning that can be propagated to children. I think I'm going to do a whole series on just natural law principles and teaching techniques. And of course, life skills for self-sufficiency. This is why people give up their power to government, is because they're dependent on government. We are raising good slaves to be dependent on an external source, government. We need to teach our children true intrinsic value, life skills. Public school doesn't even come close to any of these. Okay? The world is the classroom. Experience is the greatest teacher. If you need a curriculum, here it is. Teach natural law and life skills like gardening, woodworking, repair skills, sewing, raising animals, taking care of animals, cooking, all these basics. These are true life skills that you can start with children at a young age. And I went to high school. The one class that I actually appreciated was called Consumer Math. Weird title for a math course. But what it really was critical thinking. All about problem solving. I use that every single day, all day. So, and of course, if you're self-sufficient, you're not reliable on government or government institutions. And that pisses government off, because governments can't profit from self-sufficient people. Learn how to think. Parents are sacrificing their children to public schools and these government institutions so that they can control, condition, and manipulate their minds with falsities. The parent needs to teach their child or parents how to think. And this method, which a lot of people in S.E.E.D are familiar with, I'm sure, is the trivium method, right? This is the threefold path to truth. This is a methodology of truth discovery which enables an individual to learn how to think critically. This tool can help an individual to remove their erroneous belief systems and magical thinking and to come to an accurate conclusions about what is true and what is not true, including the truth about natural laws that govern human behavior. This is so important. Another topic that needs to be expanded on and adopted into families. Critical thinking, the trivium method. There's also the quadrivium and the pentivium. It even goes higher than that. I'm not going to get that deep, but the quadrivium goes into teenagers, preteens, and teenagers. The trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, or knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, you can start extremely young. So here's another slide that I made of the trivium method, right? We have input, which is grammar or knowledge. It's gathering the data from an eclectic array of sources without prejudging it. This will give you the answers who, what, when, where. This is the raw data. Step 2 is the processing, logic, or understanding. And this is comprised of 3 basic substeps: filtration, correlation, and analysis. Enables us to learn why. What is the reason or meaning or purpose? Step 3 is the output, rhetoric, and wisdom. So speech and action based upon the knowledge that one gathered and understands. Knowledge and understanding are propagated so that real change can be created. And again, I'm using the computer jargon: input, processing, output, right? Take in the information, the raw data, you process it, and then you output it in your behavior. This is the same process on how reality is created, how beings operate. Our actions are dictated by the knowledge that we have occurred. If you have false knowledge, inaccurate lies and deception, then your output, your behavior is going to be incorrect or immoral. There's one overarching goal for parents: morality. Most parents want their children to grow up and be good human beings, but parents themselves cannot correctly define what it means to be a good person. What is morality? And my partner John and I, with Natural Freedom League, we go out on the streets and we ask people these questions as well. And it's phenomenal how many people cannot accurately and correctly define what morality is. And morality is objective. Objective morality is based upon natural rights that are inherent to nature and can never be taken away or made into a wrong. It's the objective distinction between right and wrong behavior. This is what morality is. And the problem with parents not teaching objective morality, well, actually, it's not that they're not teaching, they're condoning and they're teaching moral relativism. That morality is whatever you say it is. That human beings can make it up as they go. It can be different in one area and then it can change to another, right? This is what government does. Government does this all the time, right? You could smoke weed over there, but you can't smoke weed over there. And what is that ultimately doing with that false authority? It's a claim telling you that you can't put something into your body because we say so. That's what the government is saying. That is a claim onto your body. That's a claim of ownership. That, my friends, is the definition of slavery. A claim of ownership on another being. So to understand morality, you need to know what is a right. A right is any action that does not cause harm to another sentient being. Rights do not come from the government. They are not a social construct. Rights can never be granted or taken away by anyone. This simple realization must be taught to children early on, and it is simple. My body, my choice, right? That's what they say. Well, that's correct. You own your body. You can dictate how you use that, how you use your body. Now, of course, we're talking about the parental aspect, but this is facilitation. You're here to guide and to teach your children. So you obviously look out for them and protect them. Putting a mask on your child is the opposite. It's violating their rights and harming them. Ownership. You do not own your children. They do not belong to you. You may house their bodies, but not their souls. They are having their own experience. And that's what I was saying a little bit ago, right? But to own something means that an individual maintains rightful possession, control of usage, and responsibility. This is what we need to teach our children, that they are responsible for their body. So the actions that they perform are their responsibility. So we need principles, not principles. Teaching moral principles instead of obedience to authoritarian principals, right? The word principles, from the Latin noun principia, means first, foremost, leading, chief, most necessary, which simply is that which is most important. And this is what it comes down to. Parents don't have principles. They don't have moral principles. And then they can't teach these to their kids. So let's talk about first principles. The trifecta. These are the three that must be taught. Self-ownership. Sovereignty is your birthright. You have ownership and responsibility of your body, life, and property. The president, the false god, the president just did a tweet saying, you either mask or vaccinate or don't go out. Something like that. And how about fuck you? That ain't going to happen because you don't have authority over me. So, sorry, a little bit of a tangent, but self-ownership is important. That's what we need to teach our children, that they're responsible for their body. Second principle, non-aggression. Do not initiate harm or aggression upon another sentient being. This is the NAP, the NAP. This is the sacred feminine principle that needs to be taught. And of course, self-defense. You have the natural right to defend yourself if aggressed upon. These three principles, your child is interacting with these three principles all the time. I mean, that's your job, is to teach when, they put hands on another child because they don't have the cognitive ability to understand that. So you have to guide them through that process, right? The whole bullying issue is a big problem. self-defense. Get your kids, or you and your child, learn some martial arts or some defensive tactics. Extremely important, because they're going to need them. Self-defense is extremely important, and one does not supersede the other. All three of these need to be understood and respected and unified. Conscience. This ultimately is what we're doing. We're raising a child to exercise their conscience. And conscious from the Latin prefix con, meaning together, and the Latin verb sciere, meaning to know. So conscious means to know together. It is the definitive knowledge of the objective difference between right and wrong behavior. Also known as common sense. This is what common sense, it's so common, pun intended. People say, oh, there's a lack of common sense. There's a lack of common sense. But they truly don't even understand what that means. And this is our job, is to understand. This is our duty, as our moral obligation as parents, is to have our children grow up to exercise their conscience and to truly know morality and what it means to be a good person. And the exercise of conscience, the free will choice of right action over wrong action. Once the definitive knowledge of the difference between right and wrong has acquired, and when they have that knowledge and they make that choice, that's when they're exercising conscience. We see the inappropriate way of ignoring their conscience, going against conscience with the police and military. The military dropping bombs on people because their authority told them so. That's them not listening to their conscience. And that makes them a bad person. If there's one thing that I could give my child, it would be freedom. Freedom is the most important thing. Because what is life without freedom? Your free will, your expression of your being. Family and freedom. Children come into this world constantly seeking freedom. Freedom to express themselves in unique, creative ways, to play, to dream big. There is no limit to a child's imagination. And this is the natural state of humans. To live in freedom, to be free. This is our natural state. That's why it's so important to understand what objective morality is. Freedom is unrestricted free will expression. It is our birthright. This is what sovereignty is all about. And this is what we're here to learn in this reality, is to learn the difference between right or wrong. But unfortunately, our current condition, we are in a state of slavery. We have authorities, human beings claiming authority on other people. This is slavery. This is our condition. So it's important to teach our children these principles, these first principles. And also teach yourself. Be your child's advocate for freedom, not the enforcer of obedience. The future of humanity. Children are the seeds for the garden of humanity that will grow and blossom from the care and knowledge of those before them. The manifested future will depend not only on parental knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, but the capacity of action. action. That is wisdom. Taking in correct knowledge and applying it. Knowledge applied. And this graphic, the one who plants trees, knowing that he or she will never sit in their shade, has at least started to understand the meaning of life. This is appropriate for the Seed for Growth Conference. Children are the seed. Now, you need to understand, in our fight for freedom, in our lifetime, we might never see one level closer to our goal of true freedom. But that's not the point. It's a moral obligation to fight for our children and for the cause of freedom. Children are the world's most valuable resource and its best hope for the future. A quote by JFK. And that's a powerful quote. The world change starts in the minds of our children. And that's even more powerful because it's all about your state of mind. All about your state of mind, because from the state of mind dictates your emotions, which dictates your actions. Children are the living messages we send to a time we will not see. And that's why we need to teach morality for our grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren. The generations before us have failed at this. All we have to do is observe reality and the current condition of where humanity is. And we can see that the generations before us did not teach morality because we're in a deeper condition of slavery and bondage where natural rights are being violated all the time. There is no left or right. There is only freedom or enslavement. That's it. When you break it down, that's what matters. What are we going to choose? We have the free will choice to choose freedom or enslavement. We need to be the example. We need parental evolution as the solution. True education is the pathway to freedom. Learn with your child. Respond instead of react. Love over fear. You will be the influence in their life to raise them right. Have courage, willpower, care, and activate. I will not sentence my children to a future without liberty. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time and attention. That is the presentation. Leave it on a powerful note. I hope I gave you something to think about, to scratch the surface, to plant that seed where we need to go as parents. Thank you. Appreciate your time and attention. Agape.